Welcome to another episode of NAC Car Culture, your home of tough muscle cars, classic cruisers and high-performance imports. Kindly brought to you by the good people at NAC Insurance, Teng Tools and Mount Shop. Coming up in this episode, we catch up with the crew from Untamed Motorsport.
I reckon the more positivity we can put on what we do in our culture, in car culture, I think the better.
And we drop by Magoos Street Rods in Masterton.
The old days of being a rough and ready sort of ride are really gone. Today's clients want heaters, they want a bit of comfort in their car, they've got good stereos, and they are a pleasure to drive.
But first up, this week's feature car is brought to us by the team at Mount Shop. Meet Mike Barry's big cubic inch nitrous snorting Chevelle.
I've always been into the fast street car thing. In the mid-90s, there was, in America it was big, they had the fastest American street car gig. I built up a Capri that ended up doing mid-9s. Drive down there, drive home. You had 350 cubic inches. If you made, 1.5 horsepower per cubic inch, it was a pretty tough little 350. So if you do the figures on 600 cubic inches, you've got 900 horsepower. Add the nitrous into the mix, the numbers go from there, The horsepower thing it can ruin your mind. It's just the thrill of it, Get a taste of it and you just want more. We found this one on Craigslist. Got it back here, primer grey, crazy cracked, but the bones was good. Had a little Rumpy's 350 in it and wheels and stuff. Looked like someone's bracket car over there. So got it complied, spent a couple of months get it complied and drove around in it. Got a feel for the car, what it was doing, what it wasn't doing. And then we thought, right, let's get into this panel and paint. I thought, we'll do a quick panel and paint. 3.5 years later, that's where it's at. The small block went out and the big block went in. Progressed to make the car, transmission, did the rear end, modified the rear chassis, built the diff. The internet, you're looking at it, your mind just goes nuts. You think, I can do that, and then so-and-so, my mate, he can do that and help me with that. Next thing, you're building stuff and you're pulling stuff apart and you're modifying everything you touch because the last thing you touch, it's got to be better than that. And then next thing it goes nuts again, So. Had built a couple of big blocks for friends of mine and I thought, well, they were 454s and 440s. Let's go big, 598 or 600 cubic inches is a smidgen under 10 litres of engine size. Yeah, she's a big hunk of metal in there. It's just old school raw horsepower. No turbos, no magic wizardry, it's just good old horsepower. Had a mate, Carl Jensen, tell me that Reese Fish was changing heads and they were good quality heads, so I thought, well, I snapped them up. Needed a big carburetor, so we custom built 1275 AED Dominator, which they modified for the street. And then, well, let's put nitrous on it as well. You get the Jekyll and Hyde scenario with nitrous, you get the street driver, and then when you turn the nitrous on, bam, more horsepower, 200 or 300, 400 extra. It's at your discretion.
Billet internals found their way into the Turbo 400 Trans, and the custom Strange Diff houses a Moser head with Detroit locker centre and 35 spline axles.
Like anything, it's all in the control of your right foot. You can drive it round, it'll be nice as pie, but if you lean on it, you soon know who's boss, and you've got to treat it with a little bit of respect, I don't profess it's going to have the biggest horsepower in the world, but it's got a lot of torque, and that's what spins tyres, and it gets it on,
And with the powertrain well sorted, Mike wasn't about to let the rest of the big Chev fall behind.
When I was building the car, it's one thing to have a fast car. I wanted it to appeal to a lot of people too. I wanted a car that if you saw it across the road or 20 metres away, you go, that's a nice looking muscle car. At the moment, I'm just enjoying the car. You know, I want to go down to drags, but I want to have the car sorted. The potential is there. It's got enough ammunition in it, but it is still a heavy car, so it's not going to be the #1 contender out there. Might not be the #2 or 3 contender, but the only person that's got to please is myself. So that's all I've got to do, and at the moment I'm pretty pleased with it.
Mike's Chevelle stole the show as the cover car for NZV8's 123rd issue. Jump onto themotorhood.com for a bit more muscle car in your day. Time now for a trip to Masterton. Teng Tools sends us to check out one of the largest hot rod shops in the land, Magoos Street Rods.
We've got a bit of an adage, we build nice cars for nice people, and that's been my business philosophy going through. We build a range of vehicles for people all around the country. We do hot rod stuff, we do street machines, we do restoration work as well. We're just keen to see people involved in the hobby and the sport. I grew up in Levin, and in those days we had the motor racing track there, so my original passion was motor racing. Red Dawson was my hero. He was a Ford guy, and the first hot rod magazine I ever bought, I only bought because it had Red Dawson's car on the cover. I saw that, read the magazine, thought this is pretty cool, and as it turned out, one of the vehicles that was in that magazine turned up in my town that following Friday night, and once I saw that car I was hooked. And from there it's grown from a hobby into a business, and our whole family's involved. We just love it as a hobby. We've made some neat friends all around the world, and so for us it's a bit of a lifestyle as well. Every car is literally a hand-built vehicle, and whilst there's some design elements that stay common, you've all got a motor, gearbox, diff, etc., each car is individual and unique, and that brings with it its own set of challenges. It's not like a mass production situation, even of an exotic car. These are scratch-built, personalised vehicles. The hot rods of today are certainly more comfortable to ride in than in days gone past. We're using the modern brakes, the modern shocks, obviously they've got seat belts. We use a particularly good seat system in our cars, so I would dare to say they're actually more comfortable than these cars were when they were first built. The old days have been a rough and ready sort of ride are really gone. Today's clients want heaters, they want a bit of comfort in their car, they've got good stereos, and they are a pleasure to drive.
In New Zealand, scratch-built cars find their way onto the road by meeting standards set by the Low Volume Vehicle Technical Association.
Yeah, in New Zealand there's been quite some foresight. The LVVTA has got a very strict code of construction in terms of how we build cars, and that's been ultimately a good thing. There's been some tears and pain along the way, but ultimately it does give a criteria which has an emphasis on safety. It's meant that the authorities respect the work that goes into the vehicles that we do. And that's been a blessing compared to some other countries in the world, and particularly some of the restrictions that apply in Australia, where it's much more difficult to build a modified vehicle than it is in New Zealand.
Whether it's all steel or a fiberglass reproduction, the 1932 Ford cuts an iconic shape in the hot rod world. Closer to home, you don't need to look much further than the 2012 Deuce Days get-together. Hosted by Magoos and attended by over 80 32s, not to mention legendary US hot rod builder Roy Brizio, the show highlights just how popular the Deuce is in our corner of the globe, and they're set to do it all again in 2016.
New Zealand hot rodding, I think, is in very good shape. I mean, there is an ageing population, and the baby boomers are coming through. They've got the discretionary income to have their toys. So at one level, you've got that. But there is also a school of younger ones coming through, particularly families, again, of some of those older rodders. And that would be the same pattern that's been in America. It's expensive to get involved in hot rodding at the lower end, but there are ways to get around that and build a car to suit your budget. So I think New Zealand hot rodding is in very good strength, and that's evidenced by the number of people that you're getting, the number of cars that you're getting at the major events all around the country. And the calendar is full. At the end of the day, I just like getting in behind the wheel of my coupe and going for a drive.
Stick around, because after the break, we meet up with the crew from Untamed Motorsport. back with NAC Car Culture, your home of tough muscle cars, classic cruisers and high-performance imports. Time to meet the crew from Untamed Motorsport. Untamed Motorsport was founded in Tauranga in 2005 and celebrated its 10th anniversary this year with around 30 active members.
Untamed started as a bunch of guys who used to meet up on the street every Friday night like everyone else. As we realised there was more to it than just sort of the street racing life and everything like that, we decided to go to places like Mere and hit that, and we turned out to be quite good at it, as our name suggests as well, following the 4 in Rotary series and any other little events that sort of come up. So that's what Untamed does now, and we started where probably you shouldn't, but we're here now and we stay away from it, so it's good.
The whole going to shows and events and doing the drags and stuff as a team and turning up as a team, it's a whole lot easier. Like, you've got a whole lot of support of other people, your mates, and if your car breaks down, the boys are there to help you out, or vice versa.
Awesome crew to hang around with. Good bunch of people, almost like pretty much just like a big family. We go away together, we eat together and stuff like that, and we travel as one group, as a whole.
Everyone helps everyone. Just an extended family, basically, on top of the family I have.
We come together as strangers, like not everyone are best of friends, not everyone knew each other before they joined the club. We've got each other's backs whether you're in a car or out of a car, no matter what you're going through life. And that's why we keep small, that's why we're not one of those clubs that wants to grow into hundreds of members, because you lose that tight-knit feel. So we keep it tight and we keep it like family, and honestly, a lot of us, we hang out weekdays, weekends, everything, so yeah, it's good, that's what it's about and that's what we like.
Car-wise, well, there's everything really. Rear wheel, four wheel, Mitsubi's, Subis, it's basically everything.
Mainly because they're quite easy to modify. Like, a lot of the guys have got Evos and stuff. There's quite a few Evos and stuff in the club, like early Evos. It's easy to get power of, easy to make fast, and they're reliable most of the time.
For a while it was Evo dominated, for a while it was WX dominated, but it was 4-wheel drive turbos because we were all about racing, so that's the best thing, sort of thing. And then, we thought, like, let's branch out. Any configuration works, and as long as you've got the right attitude, that's going to work. So we started out 4-wheel drive turbos, and now we're everything. We've got rear-wheel drive Skylines, front-wheel drive Hondas, 4-wheel drive still, So yeah, and it doesn't matter what make. We've got the fastest Caldina in the world, and is in our club. So, from little old Hamilton. So it doesn't matter what you got. You got the right attitude, you're right.
Yeah, it started out as just a bone stock Altezza, which I daily drove, and that sort of stayed like that for 5 or 6 years, and then I built a turbocharged 3S motor for it. That was in there for 4 years or something, and then now it's got a 2J in it. I should have done the 2J just from the start, but hey, you live and you learn, I guess. Just rebuilt the motor and put different cams and stuff in it, so it hasn't made it the dyno, but on the last motor it made 330 kilowatt at the wheels and 20 pounds of boost. All rear arms, everything, all the rear suspension, the rear arms, adjustable arms, all hard race. It's got a chaser diff in it, chaser axles, got a chaser gearbox in it, super front brakes, the big floor pots off them. Yeah, the list goes on. It's just, yeah, there's more what I haven't and I changed in it.
It's just the 1994 Evo 2, Mitsubishi Evo 2. It's got the old usual, forged pistons, ported heads, that type of stuff. Big cams, 30-40 Garrett turbo with a 106 exhaust. EMS ECU. It's got the twin 044 fuel pumps. Custom piping, front mount intercooler, that type of stuff, big injectors. It's currently running on E85. My main goal is to run 9 seconds, as a full street-driven car. So hopefully one day the goal is to drive to Mere or wherever the track that I'm going to, and run a 9-second pass and drive home. Currently does 10s at the moment. It's still got a lot more in it, but yeah, hopefully we get some good, decent track time, and we'll get out there and show what we can do.
Yeah. 1972 or 74 323. Yeah, running a 13B turbo Ridgie, And yeah, ball on a turbo, Cinco manifold, twin gate setup. Hopefully get 350 to 400 kilowatt on E85. It's 800 kgs, all been corner weighted in that. I think it's 350 kgs over the rear wheels, like a little beast. It's just the noise, man. Can't beat the sound of a rotor.
Yes, I've had the Civic 3-ish years. Build time's probably been about 2. Basically, it's a K20 being put in it. Done most of the work myself to save money. Obviously, cars aren't cheap. Motor's fairly stock, but basically build it for track use, a little bit of drag, but yeah, mainly circuit, yeah. It's got a lot of bolt-ons on the motor, but obviously, you know, the usual circuit car stuff, suspension, sway bars. The car base is pretty good, so you don't have to do much to them really, just jump in and drive. People don't think they're as quick as what they are, but it's all about the power to weight, and obviously they don't like getting beaten by a naturally aspirated, but once again it's also hard to pull more power out of a naturally aspirated car, but the reliability is good, so it's why I like it basically.
There's huge amounts of competition within the club, especially with the Honda boys. They're going at it for the NA time. Also with us four-wheel drive turbo guys, we're going at it all the time. And that's what's cool about it. We've got loads of competition within our crew, so we battle it out hard.
Leave the rubber to the track really, let the track do the talking and go from there, yeah.
With us, we'll sort of give you more of a chance if your car's not immaculate, and we'll take you for who you are as a person, because that's what matters at the end of the day. We want to surround ourselves with good people who help us grow, and we can help them grow in the scene, and that's what the scene needs.
You are who you associate with. If you're hanging out with those types of people that are getting into these types of models of cars, well, guess what? It ends up happening that you end up being there too with them. And with a good, strong crew, we've got we've got good heads on us, we've got some really good leaders, and that's what helps us to achieve what we need to achieve.
The more people in our scene that sort of take the legal route like we have, like the proper shows, the proper hard parks, the drag racing, like Chrome, for example, cruising with your mates, events like that, I encourage everyone to get on that sort of role, because we've got to turn it positive, because everyone's against it. I'm in my 30s, and I like using my car on a Sunday to cruise around, but to the public and to like people like the police and that, I'm the same as the boy racer who crashed into a fence on Friday night down the road, for doing 180 k's down a 50k area, So I reckon the more positivity we can put on what we do in our culture, the car culture, I think the better.
That's us for this episode of NAC Car Culture. Coming up in next week's show, we cruise into Te Aroha.
And everyone's just here for the same deal, just here to enjoy their cars, enjoy other people's cars. That's part of car life, really, yeah.
We check out David Arthur's sublimed and slammed 69 Toyota Crown.
What the hell is that? Is it a Crown? Yeah, I got that a lot. That's not a Toyota, is it?
And we sneak into SMS fabrication in Onehunga.
It's always a good challenge to try and sort of fit big turbos and big engines in cars that aren't really supposed to have them.
See you then. NAC Car Culture was brought to you by NAC Insurance, 10 Tools, and Mount Shop. Thanks, team.